So that was, of course, the climactic scene of episode 10 of Spy Family the anime, which came out a couple of days ago on Crunchyroll. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, I would suggest that you take a look at it. It's very enjoyable, at least I found it to be very enjoyable. And this episode, I would say, is one of those episodes where I really enjoyed both the author of the comic as well as the director's skill in putting together this episode. For this episode not only covers chapter 15 of the manga, but it also covers short episode 4. And short episodes are these chapters that the author writes, which are almost like author-created fillers. They're not quite as sophisticated as the standard chapters. They're sometimes a little bit shorter, and they don't cover the basic theme of the story regarding Operation Strix. What it does is often goes through some lighter fare. And the thing I really like about many of the short chapters is they go and introduce certain characters that you typically don't get more information on in the standard chapters. And in this case, Short Mission 4 covered Mr. Henderson. And so what I really liked about this anime is they were able to blend both Short Mission 4 and Chapter 15 together. And that's pretty interesting considering Short Mission 4 came out around the time of Chapter 27, much later than the Chapter 15 story that we see in the majority of episode 10. But the way they blended these two stories together was really well done. And so for the people who've only watched the anime, you could consider the part of this episode where you saw before the opening credits as Short Mission 4, and the remaining part as Chapter 15. And once again, I think the director did a really good job in identifying how to put together a separate story such as Short Mission 4 and combine it and make it blend well with Chapter 15. And I hope he keeps on doing this with some of the other short missions where they introduce other supporting characters in the story. But as far as Chapter 15 is concerned, yeah, it was absolutely crazy, and for that I would have to credit Tatsuya Endo. He really comes up with these really wacky stories that are almost Monty Python-esque in their strangeness, while keeping it relative to the actual original story, which is pretty well done. And of course, in Chapter 15 and Episode 10, the story revolves around a dodgeball game. And the students find out that for whichever team wins the dodgeball game, the MVP of that team will receive a stellar star. And so you could imagine for all of the students, including Anya, this becomes a big deal. And of course, Chapter 15 went into all the crazy antics that we saw there, including that one character from the opposing team, Bill Watkins. Yeah, and once again, Tatsuya Endo, you have a pretty crazy mind to really think of such a situation. And once again, this does feel very Monty Python-esque. But as nice as the chapter was in the comic, the thing I really liked about the anime is once again, they had to create filler content within this chapter to extend the time allocated for the episode. And my gosh, the animators and the director did a fantastic job in putting this together. Because some of the things that came up were absolutely well balanced into the chapter, as well as being equally hilarious as the source material. And the thing I really liked about the anime part is the references that kept coming up in this episode to other entertainment sources. Things such as Rocky or any of the martial arts sort of animes or movies, as well as even something like Dragon Ball. And so some of the scenes that came out were hilarious, and I loved the tribute that they gave to other animes and forms of entertainment. My gosh, the voice actor for Bill Watkins was hilarious. I don't know who the voice actor is, but my gosh, it fit this episode so well. And once again, the director did a really good job in utilizing that voice and this character in additional scenes. That part where Bill was practicing at night, that is not in the original chapter, but it fits so well. I loved his daddy sort of situation that came out when he ran to his father, who looked like this comic's rendition of M. Bison from Street Fighter. And once again, this ridiculous nature of the anime filler portion combined with the ridiculous nature of the comic really fit well. And so this entire episode was a hilarious, very entertaining episode. I would have to say this is one of my favorite episodes, considering it has so little to do with Operation Strix, and it's just a crazy set of situations. And so the main story, of course, is exactly the same as the comic, and that entire crazy dodgeball tournament happens exactly the way it does in the comic. And of course, we get to see that awkward situation that brings Damien and Anya a little bit closer, although probably by the end of this episode, neither of them would say they are any more closer to each other than they were before. And that whole realization that none of this had anything to do with the Stellar Stars was pretty hilarious as well. The one final thing I would like to say is that climactic scene was so good because it gave reference to every one of those really special attacks that you see in sports animes, as well as the special attacks that you see in every magical girl anime. This was a combination of both, and it was really well done by the animators. And so really good job to the animators in taking a really good chapter from the source material and making it even more hilarious. And so I really enjoyed this. I'm not sure about anybody else, and I would like to ask if everybody else thought that this was as entertaining as I found it. Now, of course, we have 2 more episodes left, and the next episode is actually quite cute and also is quite relevant to Operation Strix. And I won't go into the details of why it's such an important episode to the Strix, but you'll probably find out by the end of the next episode. But in any case, this is the episode 10 discussion for Spy Family. Thank you very much for listening. And until the next episode, happy anime watching. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.